Hello everybody, welcome back to the Redmen TV and the fan reaction part tonight after Liverpool beat Everton 1-0 relatively convincingly. I think it's fair to say Everton without a single shot on target. They had some moments, they had some chances, they had a few situations you might look back on and rue not making more of. But ultimately, Liverpool, 3 points, runaway Premier League leaders, get the gap back to 12 at the summit. Breathing space and then some. Job done. Diogo Jota with the goal as well. They're much maligned, they're heavily criticised, and listen, fairly so, it's fair to say, in recent weeks because he's not been in good form at all. He's been in really poor form, actually. But back to more like his usual self tonight, I think. And it was a very, very, very Diogo Jota goal. Slaloming his way through inside the penalty area and an unerring finish to boot as well. What do we think of it? How are we feeling? We must be absolutely fucking over the moon, to be honest with you. We've just beaten our nearest rivals, just beaten those across the park. And yet a little bit of revenge, a little bit of payback for what happened, obviously, over at Goodison a month or so ago, which is good, and victory tastes that little bit sweeter when it comes against them lot, doesn't it? Let's be honest. Right, sound, let's dive into the chat. Rakeem says, Grav was pretty good, best midfielder on show today. Yeah, I don't think the midfield was particularly purring, to be honest with you. I thought he was better, had more energy than what we saw before the break. He definitely needed that break. But yeah, I don't think it didn't necessarily run the show. It wasn't really a game for that, was it, really? It was a little bit scrappy, got bypassed a lot, certainly by Everton. They were just going long, looking to get out more often than not. And I don't think we dealt with the Beto presence. Virgil Van Dijk definitely didn't deal with the Beto presence. He felt Beto's presence, actually, particularly well in the first half. They won a few too many second balls for me because it did feel as though they were just aimlessly anywhere will do clearing the ball. But all too often, it was breaking for them. And we weren't, like I say, we weren't necessarily picking it back up and going again. They had 3 or 4 moments in the first 45 where you think, considering how poor they've been and they haven't really strung like 3 or 4 passes together, how are they one-on-one with Kelleher on 2 separate occasions at least? But anyway, all's well that ends well. Yeah, geographically, mate, and not in terms of like quality, caliber, the league table, trophies, any of those metrics, but in terms of actual meters or steps it takes to get there. Yeah, they are there the nearest. Jim Flanagan, the worst ref I've seen in a long time. Now, people who've seen me do the show before will know, unless anything, seismically goes against us and it means that we don't win a game of football, refer back to Spurs a couple of years ago when Luis Diaz's offside goal was inexplicably ruled. Onside goal was inexplicably ruled offside, I should say. I don't often just get completely fucking fuming with referee decisions because I think they're just all shite. My general barometer, my general feeling on the referees in the Premier League is that they're all crap. And it's more rare that you see a good performance than it is a bog standard one. So I don't waste a lot of energy on them nowadays. I used to when I was younger, but I've grown out of that now. However, having said all of that, he was bad. Out of his depth is probably how I would describe the ref tonight, to be honest with you. I do think the Tarkowski tackle, clearance, whatever you want to call it, I think it's a red card. I do. I'm also of the opinion that more often than not, getting the ball negates whatever happens after. That's my general consensus on sort of tackles like that. But that one is so out of control. He's in mid-air when he collides with McAllister. McAllister's actually lucky, and we're lucky therefore, that he's almost turned his leg and it's calf, and his foot's not planted either, because if McAllister's leg is stiff and, in the ground, and it is a shin connection or even a knee connection, that's season over, and you might be looking at months out because there's such force. He's full flying, clattered into him, and yeah, it's a red card. Ultimately, and fucking Duncan Ferguson says a red card. So you know then that if an Everton, legend with his 25 goals for the club is saying that, something's wrong. Exactly, yeah, exactly that. But yeah, the ref shite, just shite again. Numerous decisions we could point and talk about, but what's the point? Because we won the game. We're 12 points clear outside the Premier League. There's better conversations to be having than yet another below par refereeing performance. And it was Paul Tierney on VAR, so what the fuck do we expect as well, let's be honest. He is just not fit for purpose. And then some. Harrison gets us back on track. We're going to win the league. Yes, we are. And tonight, listen, we spend a lot of time pre-match talking about the want and desire for a performance and a statement win and go out there and sort of puff our chests out and show the rest of the world why we're about to be crowned Premier League champions. It wasn't quite that, let's be honest. It had moments of that, I felt, but it wasn't anywhere near it from minute 1 to 90 odd. But still, ultimately, we are going to be Premier League champions. And this is just another game ticked off. It's another 3 points in the bag. Arsenal fans would have watched that for an hour thinking, oh, fucking tell you what, here we go. No, absolutely none of that. We move on, and we move on. And it's all fucking good. MCD says Lucho for Man of the Match. We'll talk about Man of the Matches a little bit later when it comes to the Play Ranking show, but do stick around for that because that's where we need your help more than ever before. Once again, down to nerve for me, says Red Moon. Love Jones. I thought Jones did a brilliant job at right back, by the way. Again, we'll do individual performances in the next show, but yeah, I think he's worth a mention at this point because there was so much concern, and understandably, given the fact he's wildly out of position, a position he's played once in his professional career. But honestly, I thought he was exceptional at it, really. Defensively as well, like there's that clear that interception late on. There's a header that he wins at the back post as well, which is not something you see fullbacks do all the time. The only downside to the game over there was, and we're going to have to learn to live with this potentially without Trent, really, is I feel like sometimes it takes too long to get the ball to Salah. There's 1 or 2 moments whereby you could just get it into Salah's feet and away we go. Too often, we just delay by 2 or 3 seconds, split seconds in certain cases, in certain instances. And that allows Everton to get back into shape and get bodies around him. Like the amount of times he was outnumbered and crowded out and therefore can't do anything. But again, Trent's been a cheat code for Liverpool in terms of progressive passing for years. So without him, whether it's Conor Bradley, Joel Quansah, Joe Gomez, Curtis Jones at right back, we're going to need to find another way. Florian says, Diogo got the same for a clear foul on him as the Psycho got for that nasty challenge on Maka. Good process on it. I mean, the booking on Darwin Núñez later on blew me head off as well, to be honest with you. Again, if we weren't winning by that point, my head would have been hot with what was going on. But we were fine. We were never really in danger of conceding. I know we had a corner and stuff like that as we got towards the end, but yeah, I felt like we were in pretty much control of it. And again, Kelleher never truly tested. So yeah, good. The waiting a whole week thing for a game is different. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're going to have to get used to that as well, aren't we? Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I think it's probably going to do us the world of good, to be fair. And we might get some better performances as a result. A bit more freshness in legs. And I did think we looked sharper across the pitch tonight, actually. I do think we got a much better version of Jota, even before the goal. And I know he hadn't necessarily threatened the score at that point. He had 1 or 2 half chances. But everything he did just looked a bit more... He's more involved, first and foremost. But everything he did just looked a little bit more at it. And yeah, quicker of thinking, wasn't second guessing. His touch was a bit more like him. Yeah, I thought we got a much better performance than the previous one in the Carabao Cup final. It would have been hard to dip below that, let's be honest. But still. Dan Wars says, why are there only 2 people on the planet who don't understand what constitutes a red card? The ref and the V. Yeah, mate, honestly. And how quickly did the VR move on from it as well? Like, I had one look at it and went. And have you seen that Premier League Match Centre thing on Twitter that tries, or it's supposed to justify and explain how referees and officials have come to certain decisions? It might just be me, but it makes no sense. Like, all it says is basically the VR checked that it was reckless and confirmed it was reckless. And like, it's a much longer sentence than that. But like, that doesn't say anything. Surely that's a bad thing. Surely the reckless nature of it is bad on both counts. I don't understand how their explanation for how it's just a yellow is 2 negative points. Make it make sense. Yeah, Jesus Christ, honestly. Honestly, God, that was a mad moment. That one with Nunes and Pickford later on, because obviously the whistle's already got. It's a penalty, by the way, if the whistle hadn't gone, because Darwin gets there first, has a trickling effort that sort of rolls across the goal line, and Pickford just smashes him, as Pickford often does. Unfortunately, he's got a fucking tendency for that, hasn't he? Fucking head the ball. Super chat from Shroob says, Everton do my head in. They exist merely to piss us off. Got the win though, and 100% confident we win the league now. You'll never walk alone. Yeah, absolutely. And again, listen, I think a lot of people lost sight of just how strong our position was in the Premier League when, again, don't want to fucking harp on about it, but the negativity pre-break and then the Trent stuff mid-break, a lot of people became disillusioned with Liverpool, I think it's fair to say, myself included, because there was a lot of, bad press around us, and we'd had suffered a couple of blows and stuff like that. And now you play again, and we win again, and you look at the league table again, and you can take a deep breath and go, actually, do you know what I mean? We are in such a fucking dominant, brilliant position. It's dreamland territory. I've said it for months. Like, if you'd have told me back in August, new manager, no signings, let's have it right, Chiesa was a bit of a whatever signing at this point. And if we'd have got to now, in where we are, if you'd have told me that, I'd have bitten your hand off. Even with the Champions League exit, arguably even with the Carabao Cup heartbreak in the final, and the FA Cup piss poor showing, basically. If I'd have given all that, I'd have swapped all that for being 12 points clear at the top of the Premier League with 8 games remaining, and that's where we are. And I think it's important just to get a little bit of perspective and a bit of context around it all as well, because exactly this. It fucking feels good, doesn't it? It feels good. We're going to win the league. We are going to win the league. And I think we might do it by winning some more games of footy as well, which is going to be even better. It is better. Absolutely, it is, Jason. 100%. Like, also, every single game you tick off where your points buffer remains as high or even higher, then yeah. I don't think that's true, personally. Gary, if that's what they've said, I don't think they looked dead in the feet at all. I think there was much more added energy in that department. And they all last the whole 90, I think I'm right in saying as well. We never changed anything, did we? Because obviously Endo comes on for Salah later on. We go straight swap Gakpo for Diaz. We go Nunes for Jota. So yeah, I think if Slot felt like they needed a break or needed some more rest, he'd have done something about it. And similarly, if he felt like they were looking, as that says, dead on their feet, I think he'd have made changes as well in that department. So I don't think they were all energy, all action, every single blade of grass on the pitch performance type, but it didn't necessarily require that either at the same time, did it? I thought Luis Diaz was that, by the way. I thought he was non-stop all night, to be honest with you. Very, very impressive. Very, very impressive. Good. Jonesy says, let's see how hard the Blue Shites try against Arsenal the weekend. Yeah, don't hold out any hope. Don't hold your breath for anything there, mate, to be honest with you. I can't see Everton particularly lifting a leg to try and get something against Arsenal, can you? Dom was the only poor midfielder. Yeah, I thought he was okay. Good and bad moments, really. McAllister did well to get the 90 under his belt, considering he got fucking his leg broken off early doors. But yeah, listen. Again, we'll talk about the individual performances in a moment. I'm just going to dive onto the Twitter whilst we are going into the chat here. 1 second, let me scroll down. Scrolling down. The video from Anfield, lovely. By the way, Curtis Jones got our man of the match over on socials, so we'll have to see whether you guys agree with that in a minute. Why have I got fucking X Twitter these days is a fucking nightmare. I don't want to boost that post. Get the fuck Elon. Right, I'm sorry, we've got a super chat to deal with before we go on. Connor says, good win, that's all that matters. Yeah, and yeah, absolutely it is. And again, I think the style and sort of the way and the manner which win games of football is important. But when you get to this stage of the season, the business end of the season, you do take 3 points any which way you get them. Right, sound Twitter. LFC Seattle. So there's still 12 points with 8 to go. Nervy the whole way through. Did you get nervy? I wasn't massively nervy about it, I must say. Everton never really built up enough of a head of steam. They had moments in isolation in the first. Listen, when Beto was one-on-one with Kelleher, obviously at that point I'm fucking nervous. But outside of that, even late on when they had the corner, like I never really... a bit of me that went, oh, fucking hell, here we go. And then the camera pans to Tarkowski and Jordan Pickford comes running up and you think, oh, I've seen this script before. But honestly, like, I never really panicked. Never got particularly scared that Everton were going to cause us any great problems because they just never look like it, never threatens necessarily. Yeah, anyway. The rest of the comment is, Jota comes back from the wilderness to get the winner and the Reds righted the Merseyside derby wrong from Goodison. Wasn't pretty, but it was pretty effective. We'll take it. Props to Curtis Jones for stepping up. Craig Everton says, massive round of applause for Everton, winning an astonishing 0.1 tonight. What a breathtaking display of dominance. Let's not forget their glorious 2-2 victory earlier. A bit of Schadenfreude going on here, I fear. Football history books will struggle to contain the sheer magnitude of these epic achievements. Yeah, okay. Anfield Community said, massive 3 points, 13 points needed from remaining 8 games, 86 points needed. If Arsenal win all their games, Jesus, a lot of numbers going on here, meaning we can still win the league a game before we face Arsenal, which will result in them giving us a guard of honour. Yes, I'm here for that. Anfield Cartel just says 20 with a trophy. Jack Weston says very, very big win. Yeah, it's so important, that win. Like, it really is. It really, really is. And not just because of the 3 points, or what all that means, and the fact it's the fucking derby, but just starting off and settling some nerves as well around the squad and laying to rest some of the hardship we faced in recent weeks, but the fan base as well. I think we've all been getting a little bit on edge and wondering how this is all going to play out for the run-in. But yeah, there's nothing like a fucking win over your local rivals to settle some and build some confidence back into us all. It didn't play too great, but the 3 points are all that matters. But we need to up our great game for the next few games. Diaz played well, good goal from Jota, and a great clearance from Curtis onto Fulham, which will be hard. It will. Baz Graham said, obviously delighted, but throughout just shouting at the TV, get it on the floor, as they have 8 6-foot players heading it away. We did, and then we scored. I just sometimes wonder about our in-game management on the field. Do miss Trent now with his creativity, but Jones is outstanding. Last one now from the Twitter. Needed to bounce back after so much disappointment. Wasn't the best looking football, but we showed grit and we keep going. Yeah, listen, I think it was a relatively resilient performance. It did show a little bit of character when needed. And I think the players as a collective have shown that all season long, to be honest with you. And again, they'd have been absolutely so aware of the noise and some of the negativity. And again, the disappointment around those back-to-back performances, and not just the performances, but the back-to-back eliminations from 2 cup competitions prior to the break. We've avenged it somewhat. We've made us feel better. There's nothing like a win to soothe the soul, so let's be right. We can all make peace with that and move on with our lives. Liverpool could potentially win the league. Do you think? I Hate McFly is up there with the randomest YouTube names I've seen on one of these chats. That clearance from Jones, I thought Jones was exceptional. Absolutely exceptional, given the fact he wasn't playing where he normally does. Peanut Butter, before the break we were leggy today, we were rusty. Will the real LFC please stand up? Yeah, there was we're always rusty after break, I think. I thought first half was rustier. I felt like we got better in the second, personally. But yeah. Jack Lloyd says, sorry, but Curtis, wow, better than Quansah. Possibly it being a right back. I do think, though, having said that, like the game in front of us allowed Curtis Jones to be a very good, able right back. And that's not to say he wouldn't have been in any other circumstances, by the way. But I'm not convinced that Slot even picks him, even if it's on Sunday, potentially against Fulham. Like, that might not be a Curtis Jones game, that, because it's away from home. It's against the side who might have a bit more, imagination, a bit more adventure about the way they're going to approach the game. And that might be a Quansah game instead. Connor Bradley might be back by then as well, by the way. But if not, that might call for Quansah, somebody who is a bit more defensively solid than Jones. Because how often was Jones get left one-on-one, isolated with a proper tricky winger? I don't think it happened at all. Certainly not to my recollection. So, yeah, I don't think it's like a horses for courses situation with those two. But listen, hopefully we don't have to keep deciding between the headache of starting Joel Concert and Curtis Jones at fucking right back for very long, because that's a ludicrous position to be in. AB. A lot of me wanted to tweet something about Scouser in the team, or Scouse right back in the team, but I left it. For now. Is Michael Owen on there? Yeah, listen, just ignore everything. Absolutely everything. Top of the league, we can play shite. Okay, Endo coming on late in the game will always bring some assurance with him. It's never in doubt, is it, when Endo steps up? That's game over. Pack your bags. Rafa Benitez handshake, gif. Away we go. Boss, sound. I think we're done. Speaking of sound, the next part of the night is where I head over to the board. It was fucking sweet, wasn't it? More like Andy Robertson of old, that for me as well. Anyway, I head over to the board and we do the player rankings show. And I need you all for this bit, but I definitely need you all for the next bit, because I pick up a player's face. You tell me whether to put him in boss, sound, or you're messing. And then we all go from there. We pick a man of the match. We rank all the players. We rank Arnold slot. And then I go home and then we do it. Not all again tomorrow, but we do more stuff tomorrow. Keegan just quickly says, you don't get free-flowing football when the opposition turn up in intention, defending only. No, yeah, it's a fair point. And I think Everton, to give them a little bit of credit right in the show, did their game plan, executed their game plan pretty well. And listen, if Beto scores, if they score the early chance as well, that gives them something to hold on to go even more, to go deeper, to be honest with you. And they shut up shop even more. It becomes even more complicated for us and become even more difficult to break down. But yeah, I do think, having said that, we were a little bit ponderous, and we spent a large chunk of the pre-match stuff talking about the need to move the ball quickly. Again, to not allow them to get set and not allow them to settle into their shape. I don't think that was quite there, but that might be the rustiness that we spoke about a minute ago. Sound. That'll do. That will do. I'm going to head over to the board now. Come and join me. I'll see you in literally about a minute.